Imagine this. You're controlling your phone, a computer, maybe even a robotic arm with nothing but your thoughts. Seriously, what used to be pure science fiction is, well, it's happening right now. Today we're diving deep into the wild world of brain-computer interfaces, and we're going to focus on the company that's making all the headlines, Neuralink.
And this is where the story gets real. That quote is from Nolan Arbaugh. He's the very first person to get a Neuralink implant after an accident left him quadriplegic. For him, this isn't some abstract piece of tech. It's about reconnecting with the world, playing a game of chess, surfing the web, all powered by his mind. This is where it all begins.
And this number right here, this is what makes Neuralink such a huge deal. 1,024. That's how many electrodes they've managed to pack into a single implant. Now, just for some perspective, the pioneering devices that came before this used maybe 100. So this isn't just a small step forward, it's a massive, massive leap in how much information we can get from the brain to a computer. We're talking way more precise control.
Okay, so how does this magic trick actually work? I mean, how do you really get a thought, just a thought, inside your head to make a cursor move on a screen? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the engineering behind this incredible tech.
Yeah, forget all those images of bulky wires coming out of someone's head. The whole idea here is to make it seamless. The N1 implant, they call it the Link, is this little coin-sized device that sits completely flush with your skull. It's totally self-contained. It sends all that brain data out wirelessly, and get this, it even recharges right through the skin. From the outside, you'd never even know it's there.
But wait, how do you connect something to the brain without, damaging it? The brain is super soft, and it actually moves around a little bit. Older devices use these stiff, rigid needles, and that caused a lot of problems, like inflammation. So Neuralink's big innovation is using these ultra-thin, flexible polymer threads that can move with the brain. The whole point is to create a connection that's safer and can actually last for years.
Okay, so you've got these threads that are thinner than a human hair. How in the world do you insert them into the brain? Well, you build a robot for it, of course. Neuralink's R1 surgical robot is basically a high-tech sewing machine. It uses incredibly detailed imaging to see and avoid blood vessels, and then it stitches each of the 64 threads into the brain's cortex with micron-level precision. This kind of automation is the only thing that makes implanting over 1,000 electrodes even possible, let alone safe.
So this slide here, this puts the whole puzzle together. It all starts with the robot doing the implantation. Then, the N1 device, the Link, reads the brain signals and beams them out wirelessly. Next up, some really smart AI gets to work decoding those signals, figuring out what the brain is trying to do, and finally, boom! That thought becomes a digital command. You're moving a cursor on the screen from a simple thought to real-world action.
But here's the thing. Neuralink isn't the only team in this race, not by a long shot. This quest to connect our minds to machines has attracted some of the most brilliant people on the planet, and they're all taking pretty different approaches. So let's take a look at the competition.
This table really lays out the fundamental choice everyone in this field has to make. It's all about balancing risk versus reward. You see Neuralink up top, they go directly into the brain tissue. It's super invasive, but you get the highest possible signal quality. Then you look down at a company like Synchron. They avoid open brain surgery completely by going through your blood vessels. Much, much safer, but the trade-off is you get less data. Each one of these companies is betting on a different vision for the future.
Let's just zoom in on these two extremes for a second. Neuralink is making a bet that to do the really amazing stuff like restoring vision or controlling a complex prosthetic, you absolutely have to get your sensors as close to the neurons as possible. Synchron, on the other hand, is betting that a safer, less invasive procedure is going to be the thing that gets adopted, the thing that can help more people, even if the signal isn't quite as clean. It's a classic engineering dilemma, and honestly, nobody knows yet which approach is going to win.
Science at this level is never a straight line. It's messy. And with incredible promise, you always get unexpected problems. So let's talk about the reality of Neuralink's first human trial. The good, the bad, and the controversial.
I mean, those first videos of Nolan playing chess with his mind were absolutely amazing. But behind the scenes, the team was dealing with a pretty big problem. So what was really going on just a few weeks after that historic surgery? This is the number that sent a few shockwaves through the community. 85%. A few weeks into the trial, about 85% of those tiny electrode threads had unexpectedly pulled back out of the brain tissue. They just retracted. And that, as you can imagine, caused a pretty big drop in the device's performance because the connection to a lot of neurons was just gone.
So how do you fix a problem like that?
Well, Neuralink's solution for the next patients is pretty straightforward. Insert the threads deeper. They're planning to go from the original 3 to 5 millimeters to about 8 millimeters deep. The thinking is that if more of the thread is embedded, it'll be a more stable anchor against all the tiny movements inside the brain. And the FDA has actually approved this change for their next trials.
But, as you can guess, that solution immediately set off some alarm bells. This quote really captures that gut reaction a lot of people had. Going deeper into the most delicate organ in the body just sounds riskier, right? It speaks to this really deep-seated fear about patient safety when you're messing with the brain.
And then, here's the other side of the argument. This gets right to the engineering reality of the situation. If you want to achieve the really big, ambitious goals like restoring sight, you need an incredibly clear, high-quality signal. And right now, the only way to get that kind of signal is to go inside the brain. This is the central conflict right here. The push for more power and capability often means you have to take on more risk.
And that debate over risk isn't just about human trials. The entire development process has been surrounded by controversy over animal testing. There were public reports alleging that monkeys suffered in some of the early experiments, which even led to a federal investigation. Now, Neuralink has maintained that it followed all the rules, but the whole thing brings up a really tough ethical question. What is the acceptable cost for developing a technology that could one day save and transform human lives?
So all of this brings us to the biggest questions of all. Where is this technology actually going? What does a future where we're integrated with brain-computer interfaces even look like? Let's zoom way out and think about the profound implications.
The first goal is restoring movement, sure, but that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Neuralink's already working on a project called Blind Sight, trying to create a kind of artificial vision by stimulating the brain directly. Or imagine giving a voice back to someone with locked-in syndrome, or letting a person actually feel through their prosthetic hand. See, this isn't just about reading signals from the brain, it's about writing signals back to it. And that opens up a whole universe of possibilities.
The science fiction author William Gibson wrote this famous line a long time ago, and man, has it ever been more true than right now. This technology isn't a what-if anymore. It exists. It's being tested in people. But that immediately raises a massive question. Who's actually going to get access to it?
Is this going to become a standard medical treatment, available to anyone who needs it? Or is it going to become a super expensive enhancement, something only the rich can afford? The idea of a new kind of technological divide, one based on who can afford to augment their body or mind, is a very, very real concern that we as a society are going to have to figure out.
And what about your data? Your brain activity is literally the most private, most personal information that exists. This whole situation has led to this brand new legal idea called neurorights. It's the concept that we actually need a new class of human rights to protect our mental privacy, to make sure our thoughts can't be stolen or sold or even manipulated through these new interfaces.
You know, as we've seen, even though Neuralink gets all the headlines, this journey is so much bigger than just one company or one person. This is a massive global effort. It involves thousands of scientists, engineers, doctors, and ethicists all around the world, all working together to try and solve these huge technical and moral puzzles.
And so, we're left with the ultimate question. Is the end goal here just to fix what's broken, to restore function for people with disabilities? Or are we standing on the edge of a brand new chapter in human evolution, a chapter where the lines between biology and technology start to blur and we fundamentally change what we're capable of and maybe even who we are? That's the future we're all walking into.